There we go. Just where I like to be.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back. Another fun Friday edition of the Maxed Out Lax podcast. A little bit of a hectic start to this stream, but that's all right. That's how we like it. A little bit of chaos that you can control is always something that we tend to prefer. How we doing, Maxwell?
We're good. Been enjoying my last 2 weeks. A little bit calmer. Couple of weeks for myself. Got advanced practices starting up on Monday. I've had a couple little things over the weekends and stuff, but a little bit of a more relaxed last couple of weeks allowed me to watch plenty of lacrosse.
Yeah, man.
How are you doing?
Good. We started travel practice this week. It was good. It's interesting how no matter where you are, really, if you bring enough people together, you're gonna have talent to compete. So it's gonna be a fun summer. Starting a new team is always something that's a little bit scary, particularly going in before tryouts, not knowing what you're going to have, and you're taking them to summer tournaments. So it's stressful. And then, it turns out, oh, wait, I'm fine. This is cool. So I'm looking forward to it. This is going to be my first summer in a while that I actually get to, coach tournaments and do that stuff. So...
Well, and there you go. That's part of it, too, I think. You've taken a break from the club scene, I feel like, for a little bit. You haven't been I felt like, when was the last time you were a real club summer tournament team coach?
2016? I think that year we did... No, 2017. I was doing 101 Elite the weekend before myself and my wife got married. So yeah, that would have been 2017 was the last time I really coached tournaments and stuff. After that,
it's quite a while.
Yeah, after that I was recruiting at tournaments.
Yeah, a little bit different.
But it should be good, because this is also going to be, for a lot of these guys, a first attempt at playing summer lacrosse. Some of them have been doing the 2-hour commute both ways to find a team. Yeah, that'd be like playing for Advanced Tahoe and living in the Bay Area. It didn't make sense. That's for damn sure.
There's a couple kids that live in Sac and play on the North Bay team. It's ridiculous.
Isn't there a Sac team or a Tahoe team? Mm-hmm. Probably both at this point.
No Tahoe team. No Tahoe team for now. But yeah, club ball is club ball.
Yeah, that's where that's where the summer shifts us in the world of lacrosse.
Yeah, and it's definitely quite a shift for us. Almost, busier in a sense. Obviously, it's longer than the spring season.
It's longer, but it's also more condensed. You don't have as much time with the guys.
Yeah.
Right?
So yeah, you only have 2 practices a week and then your tournaments.
So it's for me at least, it's much more of a oh crap, I've got to simplify all of what I do into easily digestible portions and figure it out where it's going to land. One of my assistants who hasn't really coached club ball before watched the St. Joe's Virginia game, and we were talking later, and he was like, "What do you think about running a 10-man ride with Thunder?" I was like, "No chance." There is no chance I'm trying to install a 10-man ride with a travel team. I've tried to install it when I have 5 practices a week, and there's so much that goes into a 10-man ride. Like, literally, that's all we'd have to practice. We'd have 2 hours of 10-man ride practices every practice until we get it right.
It's funny that you say that because my compatriot, my head coach for our North Bay 25s, said the same thing. After watching the St. Joe's Virginia game, he was like, I want to run a 10-man this summer. I was like, are you sure? He's like, he's a goalie coach. He's like, yeah, just have the goalie go cover him, and then we're fine. And he's like, we know who would be our floater, ready to jump the ball, and so he seems pretty confident our guys can pick it up. Well,
now we can run a science experiment. You got to keep letting us know how that 10-man ride's
This'll be
going,
fun.
and how by my money is by June 1, you guys are no longer thinking about.
That gives us 4 practices, so that's a good benchmark right there.
Yeah, because I mean, and here's the thing: if you've got a smart IQ team who will understand and be able to pick up the nuances of a 10-man ride, great. My elite team has guys who have been playing for under 2 years. I'm worried about throwing and catching and proper dodges.
Mm-hmm.
We're gonna run a drop, trap, ride, and that's just kind of what I do.
Ain't nothing wrong with it.
Nope. But
that's what we had to do for our Blue Jays and really our Dow team as well.
I mean,
wanted to run one that was a little bit more pressure and shifting, but didn't work out.
I see, and that's the difference. I have tweaked the drop ride to such a point that it lures them into a false sense of security. Because with my drop ride, we drop all the way to the midline with our attack, but the second they cross over the box line, we send a trap and a double to the ball, forcing them backwards or trying to get through that double. And then my middies are just locked off.
Nice.
So I'm anticipating, particularly in this area, Pulls not liking to throw overpasses. Right? Because make them make the mistake. Right? Don't put yourself in a position to make the mistake. But we've got quite a bit to get into. I figure going off of our last week's episode, we can talk about the free agent signings for each PLL squad. Talked about the draft last week. There were some question marks. We got those question marks addressed, and now have new conspiracy theories. So going in alphabetical order, because that's how the list I'm reading off of goes. The Boston Cannons signed short stick D midi out of Notre Dame, Carter Parlett. Andrew Cook, a midi out of Christopher Newport University. Mike Robinson, the attackman out of Delaware. And Sterling Hupp, midfielder out of the University of Texas. That's right, folks. Yeah. MCLA has finally invaded the PLL. And the Cannons probably got like 1 million new fans because they're like, yep, we're just gonna support the MCLA guy.
Yeah, but honestly, you're not wrong.
I think the coolest part about this is it really shows Brian Holman understanding that lacrosse talent is everywhere. Mm-hmm. Right? He's got a Power 5 short stick D midi. Delaware is kind of lacrosse's version of a mid-major. A Division III midfielder, and a midi out of the MCLA. I mean, he is searching just about every level of collegiate lacrosse to try to find guys for his roster, and that's something I can appreciate.
Mm-hmm. It's a great thing to see. We constantly talk about all this talent in the PLL, and think about the guy like Cross Ferrara last year, coming out of Salisbury and probably being the best attackman for the Chrome at one point in the year. Logan Wisnauskas, obviously, but Cross had a great start to the year and stuff. It just shows you that like talent, like you said, can come from every level, and we've seen a ton of D3 and T2 guys having a lot of success at Division 1 this year.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, I saw, I don't know if it was the article or an interview about it, but BYU stud who helped them win the championship, Haverson, something like that. He may have dropped hints that next year he's going to go do a fifth year at Utah's D1 team. So, I think you're going to see that more.
Hell yeah.
You're going to see it more and more when you see the way the transfer portal is used in other sports. I think for lacrosse, it's going to be more for guys who didn't get seen as much, go to a D2, D3 school for a few years, and then kind of try to make that jump to D1 at some point.
Yeah.
But the Cannons did great. They needed offensive help. Andrew Cook and Mike Robinson are both going to be very, very good, and I'm excited to see what Sterling Hupp can add.
Yeah.
He was the best guy on Texas, and Texas was a damn good team this year.
As well, Kyle Hartzell is the head coach of Texas, and this year he is the defensive coordinator for the Boston Cannons.
So worst case scenario,
crossover.
Hupp should know the defense. Make him a D-mid. That brings us to the California Redwoods, who signed defenders Chris Conlon and Patrick Morrison, goalie Matt Nope, midfielder Chase Yeager, and face-off guy Jake Nasel.
And then interestingly, one not so much, and one I'm curious as to why, but they're two guys on the holdout list.
Well, I mean, Kastner makes sense. He's going to Stanford. They did also move Ricky Miezon over there. It makes me wonder if Miezon got invited to an NFL camp or something.
Yeah, that's the only thing that would really come to my mind as well.
But we have seen quite a few lacrosse players invited to camps, and so I think it's going to be one of those things where they're going to let him take the shot, and if you don't make it, man, we'll find a roster spot for you. It's like like the Whip Snakes did with Zed. But they got. Go ahead.
A little interesting. They picked up another goalie.
Can never have too many goalies. You can. You absolutely can.
Three's not a ton. But yeah, I guess they're not too high on Jack Kelly anymore.
I mean, or they're trying to find who's going to be the next Jack Kelly.
Yeah.
Because in terms of rubber scene, Jack Kelly is not a spring chicken anymore. And
he's 29.
I mean, realistically, yes, they put a draft pick on Chase Erlin. But now they have competition, between Note and Erlin. Because those were, you could split hairs with those two, in my opinion, for, who you want more. And the different traits and trends, but I have a hard time believing that they're not going to keep Chase to keep TD happy. But then again, they also brought in Jake Naso, so maybe they're trying to trade off both the Erlin brothers. That would make Nick Ocello real happy.
That would be wild.
That would be wild. They're trying to trade him for the Aslanians or something.
All right. I can see it.
Moving on, that brings us to the Carolina Chaos. The Chaos added LSM Roy Meyer, attackman Braden Maea, and defender Jack Posey. Yeah, I mean, Roy Meyer, in my opinion, All-American level LSM from BU. That's an interesting one because when I thought about what the Chaos would need, my mind...
The little thing here for their post-draft need was depth for camp.
Yeah,
defensive
so
for camp.
Maybe they're just adding dudes to be dudes. But,
Had his 8 listed polls now.
Yeah. But,
all American, so all likely playing field.
Yeah.
I mean, how many more years does Costabile have in him? Or did he not? He's still playing, right?
Yeah.
But 34.
Right.
It's a lot of runs up and down the field.
But it's also not like you don't have 2 more LSMs waiting in the wing.
Exactly. I mean, yeah, also very true.
I don't know. It'll be interesting to see where they go. I mean, this is going to be a very different Chaos team. I'm interested to see if any of their remaining Canadian attackmen hold out.
What's going on, Rolk?
Rolk! What's up, dude?
There he is.
You know what I mean? I don't know if maybe Josh Byrne or Ty Kurtz or even Maea, honestly, have the interest in staying home and playing summer box. It'll be interesting.
Yeah. Kind of a bold choice to go with another Canadian there.
In Maea?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Both of their... Are those the only 2 now?
Yeah, Minikis doesn't have a hand listed, but him and Byrne. I mean, you have Kyle Jackson. You also now have Eric Dobson from the midfield. Shane Knobloch can go both hands. Will Perry doesn't have a hand. Neither does Kevin Rogers.
Yeah.
Poor guys.
So, it's tough to play lacrosse without hands.
There's only a couple here. Oh, sorry, dude. It's my boss.
Oh, damn.
I'll text him. It shouldn't be anything too important.
If it is, just tell him to hop on. We can air grievances on Twitch.
I'm down.
The Chaos, I kind of have to see where they're going, what they're trying to do with this new offense Andy Towers talked about. They've got the pieces, don't get me wrong. But they're not going to be the team I fell in love with.
No, they're changing a little bit, yeah. Yeah, looking a lot different. I mean, again, you have Sergio Perkovic and Ian McKay listed as D middies.
Yeah.
So.
So that takes us to the Rocky Mountains and the Denver Outlaws. Denver.
Oh, speaking of which, sorry.
You're good.
I gotta send you. Oh. I gotta send you this video. I'm gonna send it in the Discord, but now continue.
No, Rolk, that was me being facetious. They have actual hands. They just don't have which strong hand is listed on the roster page. So we were making a joke that they have no hands.
Sorry, Rolk.
Jagar, the Woods attack line will probably be nasty, and we'll talk about that towards the end. Or no, we already talked about the Redwoods. No, the Redwoods attack line is going to be insane, and honestly, that may be the second most excited I am for a new offense to see behind a team.
Who was that? Say it again. The Redwoods?
Yeah, Jagar said the...
Oh, yeah, there we go.
I mean, but again, it also kind of depends on if any Canadians are going to stay home.
Yeah, it's really hard. I think the fucking Cannons attack line, you can go through the whole list of teams.
Yeah.
So the Cannons attack line is fucking here. We know that.
Yeah. I mean...
Like, Marcus Holman, he's playing field. Pat Cavanaugh, he's playing field. Matt Cavanaugh, he's playing field. Asher Nolting, he's playing field.
Yeah, where's Lyle?
Well, they need him.
They started this.
Last year.
They started this. But I mean, if you look,
I don't think he's gonna come back to the field.
I don't know. I don't particularly see it either. But I mean, if you look at it, Levi Anderson could stay up north. Wes Berg could stay up north. Ryan Lee could stay up north. Alex Simmons could stay up north. And that still leaves you with an attack line of Rob Pennell, Chris Gray, and Ryder Garnsey with Garrett Degnan as your fourth.
Yeah, it's pretty scary.
It's an embarrassment of riches. That's what it is.
And this Outlaws attack line.
The
Outlaws. We started on that new Atlas attack line,
right?
And I already love the Archers attack line.
We'll talk about we'll talk about that. The so Denver brought in Dalton Young, attackman, Matt Costin, who's a midfielder, Sam Alexo, the LSM out of Cuse, Eli Fisher, and then Colin Krieg. Yeah, I think they were just going for depth, honestly. They brought in a third goalie. They now have 4 LSMs on theirs because Salama's on the pup list. So they've got 8 polls too. It's going to be... It should be interesting. I mean, camp starts...
Can we talk about this Cross-Ferrara photo? His profile picture looks...
He just needs a pair of pit vipers, to be quite honest.
Literally. Like, it's I guess with the name Cross-Ferrara, I don't know what else I should expect.
Yeah, you gotta be, if your name's Cross-Ferrara, you gotta look like you're out of a bad 1980s movie.
There it is. I'm waiting for the Chubbies and the tank.
Right. The Whip Snakes may have sneakily got the best pickup. I think it's between them and the next team we'll talk about. But the Whips added 3 players. They added Will Mark, they added Scott Cole, and they added Grant Haas. And for me, a team like Maryland didn't need a lot, right? They had a good draft. They got some good pieces. But if you really wanted to take a look at where they were, kind of needing, Jake Bernhardt's 34. You can only be a short stick D mid for so long before you age out. And that would have only left Puglisi and Grayson Soliday. And then at the goalie position, I mean, Bernlohr's 31, and like I said earlier, there's only so much rubber you can see in a career before you hang it up. And if you're not 100% sold on Brennan Krebs, Will Mark's a great guy to bring in. I've heard Will Mark compared...
He's also like the same age as Brennan Krebs.
Yeah, he is, probably. I'd have to look. But
He might be older.
But I've heard him compared to Drew Adams, who's one of the best goalies in the history of professional lacrosse.
Mm-hmm.
It also adds Scott Cole to that attack line, which absolutely insane. Attack lines in the PLL just aren't fair.
It's crazy.
It is. But this gets us to the team I think both of us are the most excited to talk about.
Which fucking sucks.
It
I
does.
Be a fan of a New York team? What the hell?
Neither do I, but you know what?
Damn it.
Pressler's a dog. And honestly, this version of the New York Atlas is like...
Gavin Adler looks stupidly stoned.
He does. Everybody needs to go look at PremierLacrosseLeague.com/teams/Atlas/roster and go look at Gavin
down to
Adler's.
defense. Oh my god.
That's fantastic. But they...
sorry to interrupt.
No, you were... That was absolutely acceptable. They brought in 5 guys. So they brought in Tucker Garrity, who's a short stick D-mid. They brought in Devin McClain from Notre Dame. Lance Tillman.
I like that one.
Lance Tillman or Devin McClain?
But Lance Tillman.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's gonna be a midi.
Yeah.
On this attack line, I kind of think everyone's gonna be a midi. But the big one, we were wondering, big Mimico Man himself, Peyton Cormier,
Time to get out. Where's my tinfoil hat? I forgot to make one.
Yeah, I didn't prepare my props for this week. I'm sorry, guys.
Same. We'll be better next week. We apologize.
Jagar, I do think Drake Porter will stay. I think Drake Porter will be the backup goalie to Liam Entenmann. All love for Drake Porter, but he's, Liam Entenmann is a absolute... They say it about Brendan O'Neill, so I'm going to go ahead and fucking say it. He's a generational talent. He is...
What do you do with... What happens to Troutner, then?
This is
pro... Look for a trade?
This is pro lacrosse.
He's cut.
I don't...
Well, I'm curious, what do you think happens?
I honestly, I don't think...
Yeah.
If you're going to keep Troutner or Drake Porter, I like Porter better because... he is absolutely willing and built for 6s.
There it is. that was my piece too. You took the words out of my mouth. He's their 6s goalie.
He's their championship goalie, so Liam Entenmann doesn't get hurt.
I mean, yeah, genius.
But go ahead. Let's get into your crackpot conspiracy theory. That we heard
we're sorry,
on.
Roll. We appreciate the that you forgiving us for this.
We
week.
do. But go ahead.
Put it on. So the we're hopping on this. I think it was it Dukes who said this in his crease dive. I don't know what it was, but they said that Cormier. The conspiracy theory now is that Cormier. There were some rumors going around that he was gonna maybe go play box this summer back home in Canada. And the rumors going around are that he was telling all the teams this. Basically, he only wanted to end up on the Atlas. If he got drafted by another
whatever team Shelley went to, because I think that's what makes it.
That's what it was, and that's the other piece that I was getting to. But he had to go to the Atlas in the end. Because, I mean, Shelley went too, so it was we found out pretty quickly where his option that he wanted to go was. So, they have this automatic dynamic, and you have Xander Dixon back in the mix, and those two on the crease, like, we've seen what happens.
Well, we've
Some
seen
records get broken.
we've seen what happens when they have just Schellenberger.
Yeah.
Now they've got Eric Law and Jeff Teat, too. So
I was about to say, I mean, Jeff Teat, oh my goodness. They went from having two listed attackmen to 6. And it's what they needed, and that's what they knew, I think, coming into the draft. You know, they traded away Chris Gray. They wanted someone who was, I think, another distributor and feeder and a finisher, and they got those.
Well,
Chris Gray's a great outside shooter and a good dodger, but I think in this offense that they're trying to rebuild in this new vision with the midi line they have, I think they felt like this was the right way to go, and I agree.
So I'm fantasy putting together midfield lines for them right now.
Yep.
So give me a midi line of Miles Jones, Dylan Malloy, and Brian Costabile. And a midi line of Cormier, Dixon, and either Bowering or Stevens.
Cormier coming out of the box, he's going to have to get in shape.
Cormier's going to have to come out of the box. But so did Cloutier. Like...
Yeah. Cloutier was already, really sneaky quick.
So was
Cloutier
Cormier.
at UVA ran, he's gotten a lot better. Despite what we talked about this year is we thought he looks bigger, but was moving a lot better.
I mean, that's just a good strength and conditioning program. But no, I think Schellenberger, Teat, and Law are locked in. I think you're going to have Devin McClain running out of the box too. Yeah, I think cuts for the Atlas are going to get real difficult.
They're going to get interesting.
Because no matter who, unless Law's going to retire, I don't see why he'd be waiting to announce, but the way they stocked attackmen when they've already got 7 middies, they've got 14 dudes offensively right now.
It's a lot.
And they only have 3 defensemen. But no, we'll see. I mean, I'm stoked to have that connection back of Cormier, Schellenberger, and Dixon. They're a lot of fun to watch. Throw in Teat. You know, they've got outside howitzers. They've got, so...
They got it all right now.
Unfortunately, I may have to watch a lot more Atlas games than I have in the past.
Yeah, kind of sucks.
I think Philly had the most obvious signings. Bill Tierney very quickly went to players he's known and respects and recruited to their college team and picked up 2 Denver Pios in AJ Mercurio and Alex Stathakis.
Yeah.
Stathakis right now is the face-off guy. Period. End of story. Next question.
Moving on.
But I think Mercurio is going to be the one who has to fight for some playing time. There is a national championship, Rolk. It's not as much like football. It's more like the college basketball tournament. So it started with 16 teams last week, 8 teams this week, and then on Memorial Day weekend will be the Final Four on Saturday, and the championship game will be on Memorial Day. So it's going to be a lot of fun. But yeah, not a whole lot coming from these Water Dogs pickups. They needed a face-off guy. They got one. I'm shocked Mercurio didn't get drafted. Ha! Hopkins on top. Ah. Jagar's got jokes in chat.
Hard to beat a team twice.
It is. It's always hard to beat a team twice.
They have a lot of defense, man.
Who?
the water dogs.
That's true. Can we talk about my favorite things the Water Dogs did in the past week, though?
Go for it.
They re-signed our guy.
Yes, they did.
Mike,
the best hair in the league.
Best hair in the league, Flo Sidon.
Oh, and he's officially not listed as out or IR, whatever it was before. He's back, baby.
Yeah, Mikey.
I'll see you soon.
Yeah, you're doing a camp with him soon, aren't you?
Couple weeks.
Nice.
Yeah, I think he's going to Santa Cruz too.
What up, pro? Swerve's house. Sorry, go ahead.
I need to. I'm curious to see. I gotta look at the schedule too to see where like those camps line up. In the PLL schedule, what's going on for him.
Yeah. So that brings us to Utah. And I think we got to start with the fact that they made a roster move before signing anyone. And miss you too, bro. I will be there Sunday, though. Graham Hossack has been placed on the holdout list. And I think this is a bigger deal for Utah than Utah would like to admit. Graham Hossack, if I'm not mistaken, was the defensive defenseman of the year last year.
I don't remember.
I'm pretty sure he was, but either way, he was their best defender. I can say that with some pretty good certainty. And I almost feel like he's another one of those I'm going to stay home and play box.
Yeah.
But they did bring in Jack DiBenedetto, Jack Van Overbeek, Jacob Morin, and Justin Whitefeld. And then they also signed Nick Cardile, Tate Gallagher, and Eric Peters. They needed defensemen. And in total, they brought one in because Hossack left too. So, I think that's going to be my biggest question mark for them going into the year, in a year that they're trying to repeat.
Yeah.
We've been talking a lot about how good all of these attack lines are, and you're losing defenders. Never a good thing. But, they still have guys, don't get me wrong. They drafted Woodward. They drafted Bars. They've got, Warren Jeffrey is still going to be an absolute stud.
Nick Cardile.
Yeah. So they should be all right. But that kind of wraps...
face-off guys. They have 3 listed face-off guys, which is interesting.
Maybe they just wanted depth at camp.
Yeah.
Well,
probably.
Isn't Sisselberger an archer?
Yeah, he is.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's his job.
Exactly. I mean, Weefeld was really good at Michigan, but yeah, it'll push him and Sisselberger together will be probably pretty good.
He was, but I always saw Weefeld as more of a change of pace guy. He took them all, but I thought he was honestly better when he was rolling with Nick Rowlett than on his own. So maybe they keep 2 and Wheatfeld's the speed guy to Sisselberger's power. So, NLL or NCAA?
It's going on.
NLL.
Starting today, baby.
Starting tonight.
Yes, sir.
It's going to be the young, upstart, rebellious Albany Firewolves, kind of led by this year's NLL Rookie of the Year, Alex Simmons, going up against the Juggernaut. And the Buffalo Bandits, led by this year's MVP, Josh Byrne.
And Offensive Player of the Year, too, I think. Didn't he get both?
I don't know. I'm looking at it right now. Yeah, he got Offensive Player of the Year. He got MVP.
Take that.
I almost wish they would have split it because of how good Dane Smith was.
Yeah, it would have been really cool.
You split them because they both deserve both awards, and I feel bad for Nick Rose because if he didn't win it this year, I don't know if a goalie's ever going to win MVP. Glenn Clark swept basically every GM coach award for Albany this year. But this series should be fun. I am looking forward to it.
How did it go in the regular season? I don't know.
Let's find out.
Buffalo, full schedule. Albany Fire will... Wait, what?
I think Albany beat them early in the year.
Why did this give me...
Because the NLL is the most frustrating website you will ever use.
I got it. Firewolves. What the hell? Where's the score? Okay. This is playoffs?
Playoffs?
Well, I think I might give up here.
I've got it. Albany won December 9th, 17-13. Let me just scroll down to see if they played again. And then Albany won Saturday, February 24th, 13-10. Oh, Albany, you poor, poor, sweet summer children. You didn't know pissing off the Bandits going into playoff. Jagar referring to you as Max and then clarifying in the chat was funny to me.
Well.
The tournament started last week, but it continues this week, yes. It continues tomorrow and Sunday with 2 games each day. But, yeah, Jagar says you missed out at Sunnyvale last year. The Seals game was great. The finals start tonight for the NLL, which is box lacrosse. If I have time, what are you doing at like 4?
I was thinking about the same thing. Should we?
Do we want to hop in Discord and watch it, and our lovely fans can come hang out?
I'd be down.
Okay, we'll figure that out. Come to Discord. And we will post that link. And
speaking of Discord, did you see the video that I sent in?
I don't know if I did. Oh, I just... how many helmets do you need?
Dude, who cares? Just talk about what they are. We need to... Can we play that on stream? I
don't know. Go to the Discord.
Yeah, go to the
what's
Discord.
In your bag section.
I wish this was my bag.
This guy is a sideline swap master. Let me tell you what.
I can give you, not quite. He could be. That is a bag in the Advance HQ.
Oh.
No, it is a bag in the belongings of legendary Chris Rotelli.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah, there was a videos I forgot to save were a video of a nice pair of Maverick Showtime gloves. Yeah, there's also he's got one of his old the main old his UVA helmet is in a bag in there. And then the Toraton is sitting on this shelf inside. I can send the picture of that in the Discord too.
Nice.
I did pick it up. But
how dare thee?
If he ever listens to this.
Yeah, this is getting recorded. The game.
Oh, yeah.
The game tonight is at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
I should be good to do that, though.
Yeah, well, I'll be in there and we'll stream it, and anybody who wants to come hang out, talk to us, we'll be in there. We'll answer questions. We'll explain some box lacrosse, and we'll watch what is going to be a very fun game.
Hell yeah.
But looking at it, honestly, I think these two teams are very evenly matched up. You've got, offensive firepower on both sides. Jameson and Matt Vince are two of the best goalies in the game.
There's another sweet picture. I should have taken a selfie with it.
Oh, they're going back to back. I thought it was Friday, Sunday. They're going Friday, Saturday.
The NLL is?
Yeah. So game 1 is tonight. Game 2 is tomorrow. That means, unless this is going to a third game, we're going to have a new NLL champion or the same NLL champion again come Saturday night. I'm excited. But that's going to be cool to be able to cap off the NCAA games with game 2 of the finals.
Yeah.
With a break in between.
How does it line up with the NCAA games tomorrow? It's way after, right? Because NCAA games are kind of early.
What a transition.
Segue, right?
That's
I know what I'm doing out here. Come on now.
So the first NCAA game faces off at noon Eastern.
9 a.m.
So
Pacific.
9 a.m. your time. And then Duke, Maryland is at 2:30 Eastern.
Yep.
So there's a 2-hour gap in between, probably, give or take.
Yeah.
With a 7:30 start for the NLL, you imagine the Duke Maryland game goes to about 5, maybe, give or take. 5, yeah. So we'll see.
All right, sorry, I was doing some detective work. I figured it out.
No worries. So, first game for the NCAA is Notre Dame Georgetown. The last thing Georgetown probably wanted was to have to face Notre Dame again.
A second time. Do we want to talk first? Should we just talk about last weekend? I mean, this kind of is talking, but we just go over those games.
Chalk Reign
We haven't talked
Supreme.
about it yet.
That's true.
Yeah. And, we were wrong on a couple of our thoughts.
Oh, yeah.
Obviously, we talked about it, but Saturday, starting off, Virginia looked really strong. Not in the first quarter. Again, they struggled with the clear. Obviously, we mentioned, everyone's talked about that St. Joseph's 10-man ride. But they figured it out, and they, solid 17-11 win. Cormier breaking the all-time scoring record, dropping an 8-piece. We said, if he makes a run, he could break it. And I was like, he could have a big game. Not in any world truly expecting him to drop a 7 to tie it, but an 8-piece to set the record.
I was listening to the Sticks In podcast with Dan Orestia this week.
Sure.
And he was talking about how he was talking to a bunch of people at UVA trying to figure out what Cormier was going to do, how he was feeling about not getting drafted, all that stuff, not being an All-American, not being a All-American, so on and so forth.
Yeah.
And he said that the words most often used were scorched earth. And he came out and played like it. He had 5 in the first half?
Yeah, it's 5 or 6. Yeah.
that was just...
he wanted it. and you could tell like he was shooting a lot.
Yeah.
They were good shots, and they were finding the honey hole. Shout out Coach Hurst, 1%.
That's right.
Next game of the day, another one that we were correct on. So there you go. Not bad. And then, yeah, they handled Utah. Nothing crazy. And they looked solid, after a weird end to their season. They looked really bad against Notre Dame. And they looked, they came out looking like the Duke, I think that we all expected to end the season and to be in the tournament.
Yeah. I mean, I still wasn't. I'm starting to wonder how hurt or if he is hurt. Brennan O'Neill hasn't been Brennan O'Neill. Like, I understand how big of a talent he is.
Yeah.
I don't know if he deserved as many accolades this year as he got. And
yeah, I hear it.
People can come at me on the Twitter machine. People can call me crazy, tell me I'm still... I've watched him live. I've watched multiple Duke games this year. Yes, he is very, very good. He is a very good lacrosse player. He is a very gifted, genetic human being. He's got a lot of things you want. I don't know if I've seen the fire and the passion I would expect for somebody of that magnitude and somebody who's talked about like Brennan O'Neill is. And that could just be something I don't see, and I'm willing to accept that. That's just how I feel.
Yeah, it'll be really interesting. I think that I want to say that the pro game will help him in a way, because he won't be the guy every week. Even, I mean, yeah, he's at Duke, but still he's the guy. And I think that helped him on Team USA. But then you look at the talent that he's playing in the World Games and stuff, and like Canada, Haudenosaunee are great, high level, and he had success against them and stuff. But then some of the other teams, you have scattered PLL level talent. In the PLL, where every team is World Game caliber players, it'll be interesting. But they're on his team as well, so he'll have a lot of help around him to be able to take the pressure off. It'll be really interesting.
Yeah, so what's the biggest knock on Schellenberger for his Tewaaraton campaign?
Sometimes it seems like he kind of is a little bit quiet, but he's the all-time leading scorer,
But you hear that, right? Oh, no, I mean, Schellenberger wouldn't be as good if he didn't have all those guys around him, blah, 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 blah. Mm-hmm. Schellenberger and O'Neill have the same amount of points, homies. Hate to break it to you. Like, when you look at it, it's not fair to me the way that Brennan O'Neill is looked at over how somebody like Schellenberger or...
Who's still getting the number one
he's
coverage defenseman on the team.
And, like, I don't know. It's probably just me.
Yeah.
I'm okay. I'm okay with that.
I don't think you're the only one. I'll give you a couple others. I bet there's a couple others out there
probably
who back that. Moving along to our first, not an upset, obviously, but a game that was a little bit surprising. Denver tops Michigan 16-11 in the Mile High City.
I called this one too.
You did call that one. I thought Mikey Boehm and the Wolverines were going to continue to refuse to lose, but unfortunately everyone's season ends at some point. And they just could never get it going. Denver looked solid. think we kind of thought this was going to be a low-scoring game, if I remember the way we talked about it.
I honestly, I did. I thought it was going to be 1 to 10 wins, to be honest.
Yeah,
I was wrong.
I mean, I think Denver hit 10 first, so technically you weren't wrong. But typically that means it ends at about 10.
Yeah.
Not 16-11 final. But good game. Happy to see Denver win. I think it was pretty sick.
Yeah.
They have. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say Matt Brown's first run as the guy, the head coach. I'm glad they're getting back and what Denver and what Coach Tierney built Denver to be. Right? They should have Memorial Day aspirations every single time they touch the field.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm glad to see Denver back to that point.
Agreed.
And can we just mention 2 Division I NCAA lacrosse tournament teams are from west of the Mississippi.
Yeah.
That's dope. As a kid who grew up watching when Denver was the only team west of the Mississippi and honestly wasn't all that good yet.
Yeah.
This is awesome.
Great.
This is awesome.
Yeah. Denver continuing to find success, and Utah being a new team has made the tournament, I think, back-to-back years now.
Yeah.
After their first year only a handful of years ago. Back when you were coaching me. Moving along, our last game is Saturday. I think the biggest shocker, I think it could have gone either way and who was going to win. We obviously picked the loser, but I don't think the score was anyone was expecting this, but Maryland beats Princeton 16-8.
Yeah.
Doubled up that high-powered Princeton offense and a fairly stout defense.
Yeah, I mean, I think the move putting Spanos down low, kind of what Duke did with McAdory against Syracuse.
Mm-hmm.
At this level, if you can throw a wrinkle that gives you 5 minutes for the defensive coordinator to figure out how to counteract that, that could be all you need. And that's kind of how I feel about this.
Yeah.
The defense took a while to adjust to what Maryland was doing and then kind of settled in. But,
I think as well, Weirman dominated the face-off X. He went 77%. They were able to play with the ball in their stick most of the game.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, and McEnany, or not McEnany. Yeah, McEnany. He answered a lot of questions. He stepped up big in May, which is when goalies need to play their best. And
John Ficcaro did not. I think a little bit of a letdown almost from his perspective, I'm sure. But I think a lot of people expected him to play better. Only 36 save percentage.
I'm going to go out on a limb and say, once again, there's only so much rubber you can see. When the ball is on your side of the field that often, it can get extremely taxing.
100%.
But that's not an excuse for making single-digit saves. You get my sympathy, but you still need better. But Saturday, honestly, and I've heard this a lot, I guess I was hoping for more. You know what I mean?
Yeah, all the the closest game was a 5-goal game between Denver and Michigan, and it honestly didn't even necessarily feel like that, right?
No, not at all.
Yeah, it felt like Denver controlled that game the entire time. Going back to the X, Wheatfeld went 55. Michigan and Wheatfeld won. He went 55, and Stathakis only went 45.
Yeah.
But Michigan just really couldn't get it going. The Denver defense locked it down when they really needed to.
Shout out AJ Mercurio.
Yes, coach.
Sunday.
Sunday. At least we had a couple 3-goal games.
But
Nothing more than a 5.
even the closer games didn't necessarily feel that way.
I definitely I can agree with the Georgetown Penn State game, but I feel like Lehigh and Hopkins was back and forth. I feel like for a while. Lehigh, I think, was looking really good, and then kind of just ran out of gas at the end. I want to say,
yeah,
the Hopkins midfield depth is absurd.
It really is. That honestly, the Hopkins Lehigh game was the closest game in my eyes of the weekend. Albany was beating Notre Dame at half, and I was still like, "Nah, Notre Dame's winning this game."
Yeah,
I love Albany, but I don't know who beats Notre Dame this year.
No, and Georgetown. I think this was the biggest surprise of the weekend, but Georgetown beat Penn State 12-9.
Yeah,
and just seemed in control of the game the whole time. It never felt like Penn State was in that game, and I think like that was the one where I was almost like sure. I was like, Penn State is gonna beat Georgetown. Like I thought they were gonna put a whooping on Georgetown.
Yeah. And
Whoops.
The only game we haven't talked about yet. Dem boys. The Syracuse Orange.
Yes, sir.
Dropping a 20 burger on a top 5 defense in the NCAA.
Yeah.
Like, Joey Spallina doesn't show up for big games, can't beat big competition, drops 8 points in the first round of the NCAA playoff.
It was 4 for 4 and 4.
Fuck
and it's
you,
just
haters.
Like, yeah, I'm here. Not all ACC, okay.
But Syracuse got their first tournament win since 2017. It was a team effort. You had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 guys with at least 2 points. Your face-off guys gave you 3 points.
While Mullen won 78%.
Yeah. If Syracuse gets hot, dear God.
Dear God, but a lot of that will ride on their guy in between the pipes, and he only went 40% against Towson.
Yeah. No, that's scary and true, but
he's looked.
That's why
he has had holes in the last weeks of the season.
But
if your offense can put up 20.
Yeah, I've always said it. Will Mark is streaky. And he's had a couple of bad games in a row, which means, based on the wonderful science of feeling the vibes, he's in for a big one,
Yes.
And
he is due, as they say.
They will need it.
Yeah. Because that moves us to this weekend.
Yeah, buddy.
What are we? Quarterfinals.
And the one thing you can say about going chalk weekend 1 is it makes for some very interesting matchups.
Some very good games.
Yeah.
Kicking it off tomorrow morning, we have the rematch of the only team to down Notre Dame this year. Norgetown versus
Joder Dame.
Joder Dame, I think. Yeah, I don't know. I kind of like Joder Dame though.
Jortser Dame. Now Notre Dame Georgetown is going to be. I feel bad.
It'll be interesting.
I feel bad for Georgetown. Georgetown beat Notre Dame 11-10 on February 25th, and Notre Dame has not forgotten since then because they have been mollywopping people.
They've gone on what you call a run or a tear.
That there.
They've won a lot in a row and have looked really, really good doing it. How about Chris and Pat Kavanaugh both have 64 points on the year?
It's pretty good.
I missed that, but look at those two. That's so cute.
It's cute. It's just cute.
It's cute.
What does Georgetown need to do to win this game again?
Try and stop those two guys I just mentioned.
It's fair.
It's hard, but and you have to make someone else beat you, but try to not let him. Don't let Dick Taylor open on the crease. Try to shut down the Kavanaughs and see if you can contain Dobson and Fiazon from up top.
I mean,
good luck.
This is the difference in us. You don't beat Notre Dame in a rock fight. You beat Notre Dame with your foot on the gas pedal. You don't beat them stopping that offense. That offense, fuck that. You win that game winning faceoffs, getting the ball to your offense, and finding a way to solve Liam Entenmann. And the Georgetown offense has been the only team that has solved Liam Entenmann more times than his offense solved the other defense. And I think Georgetown has the offense to do it. A lot of their offense comes through midfielders. So
yeah, I think anytime a team has tried to run and gun in them, it obviously hasn't gone well. I think when you look at what Georgetown did last time, they held them to 10 goals. If you can control the ball and control possession, keeping it away from them, like you said, when faceoffs go down and try and beat Entenmann, but also maybe draw it out a little bit, don't let the offense is going to score, but don't let them score in bunches like they can. Try not to let them have the ball too much. Take some longer, drawn out possessions, possess that ball, and if they don't have it, they can't score.
Yes, I understand what you're saying, but in my opinion, when a team has 6 games in their season where they've allowed above 10 goals, my focus isn't going to be on my defense.
Mm-hmm.
The only time Notre Dame has been susceptible is once you eclipse that 10 mark, right? To the biggest point, the Cornell game.
Yeah.
Where Cornell took them to the wire by just keeping pace.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, cool, you scored. We're going to go down and score now. Now we're going to go on a run. Oh, you guys went on a run. We're going to, you know what I mean? You need that yo-yo. I agree with Darth. You can't stop the Kavanaughs. You can only limit them. Figuring out Darth, that's the big thing. I mean, I said it earlier, that dude is a generational goalie. So, from the goalie perspective, you got to beat him before you can really do anything. That moves us to arguably the least exciting game of the weekend for me, Duke, Maryland. I assume I can't root for a Bane ending to this game.
I'd advise against it publicly, rooting for that. What you do in your own time, I'm sure you're already rooting for it on your own.
No one gets hurt. Just no game, and they don't get to advance.
Both teams break out with COVID.
Yeah, you both are disqualified. We are all now dumber for having to watch this game.
And Syracuse and Denver can both advance.
Yeah, I'm about it. Shit, I'll take Hopkins in Virginia, too. Either of those Sunday games, both teams can advance.
Maryland in May. Watch out. John Stillman's team seemed to figure out what they're doing in May. They scored against Princeton, which I feel like they haven't done all year.
Well, I think that Duke's kind of biggest question is Patty Jamieson and Cage. He's been solid, but he's a freshman, and this is the Elite Eight.
And yes, I was right. That is the most they've scored all year. They put up 14 one other time.
Yeah. Well, and I think
So yeah,
Maryland may be the best. No, probably not. The second best defense left. Outside of Notre Dame.
yeah,
McEnany's a former championship weekend MVP. Zappitello. Like, you've got the options, the weapons to shut down this Duke offense, but can your offense do it 2 weeks in a row and put up enough points to outscore Duke?
Oh, and they haven't played yet.
No, they didn't play this year.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll see. 2:30 Eastern.
I wonder, I assume it's O'Neal, but do you think there is any possibility that instead of O'Neal, Zawada draws Zappitello?
I think there's some. I'm not super familiar with Maryland's other defensemen, obviously, but I understand like where it would be coming from, right?
Yeah, I haven't seen a lot of. I don't feel like Brennan O'Neal has been the initiator this year. He has been in the past.
Mm-hmm.
That could just be me, but
yeah,
I almost would just see how it changed the Duke offense.
Yeah, just see what that kind of wrinkle, like you said, kind of the inverse of what we talked about with Maryland beating Penn State. I can't fucking say colleges this morning or this afternoon. With Maryland beating Princeton, and the wrinkle they threw there, maybe this is the one they throw against Duke, and maybe they throw that wrinkle again. Maybe he goes back down to attack for a second week in a row.
Yeah, we'll see. Honestly, this is the game I'm kind of the least excited for, and that's a me thing. But
no worries, we forgive you.
Holy shit.
What?
They have 5 coaches.
Who?
Maryland.
Oh yeah, that makes sense.
Including 2 Bernhards. But that allows us to move on to Sunday, which is a much more fun day of lacrosse, it looks like.
Mm-hmm.
Kicks off again. Noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific. Syracuse and Denver.
Yep, coach.
I am excited.
Your boys in orange.
Yeah, I think this one, I'm curious most about the face-off battle. That Cone-Mullins combination going up against Stathakis is going to be a good fight, I think.
Yeah.
And I think we're going to get the AJ Mercurio versus Joey Spallina matchup, which I also think is going to be fun.
Another very exciting one.
I'm hoping Air Force Syracuse wins. I was reading Denver's schedule in Air Force and as I was driving by. But I don't see any way to count out Denver yet. You know what I mean? Like, they can hurt you from so many different spots and angles, just like Syracuse. I hope we get some up and down and some good lacrosse out of it, man. But I'm excited for this one.
Yeah, it's going to be a fun one. I think, again, we could see a high-scoring game. Could be a shootout.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think there are some people who are going to be very upset for being left off of certain lists and continue that trend. Mark, Spallina, they've got guys who are going to want to send a message. And then, in my opinion, the main event of the weekend.
Yeah.
Your boys in orange.
Yes, sir.
At 2:30 Eastern, 11:30 Pacific, Virginia and Johns Hopkins.
Yes, coach.
Oh, that's going to be a good one.
And, of course, I'm coaching. But, you know.
That's why ESPN Plus exists, my dude.
Hell yeah.
Um,
Phone in the pocket all day long. It's going to be great.
I think my kind of player to watch in this for Hopkins is going to be Matty Collison. Only because I assume those trees that you guys call defensemen at UVA are going to do a pretty good job against Melendez, Angeles, and Degnan.
Yeah.
If Matt Collison goes, it could be a tough day.
Mm-hmm.
If Matt Collison can't go, I feel like UVA's shot is just a lock. Because I don't, at this point, understand how you stop a pissed-off Cormier.
Yeah, you know, we've seen so far that midfield is definitely the way to beat Virginia, along with two-man games. But Hopkins is midfield deep, and they got Virginia early in the year. So I think it'll be a really fun game. I think, like you said, if Collison can get going, if some of their other midfielders can pick up, I don't even want to say some slack, you know, but just like a more locked down attack, that they'll have a lot of success. Yeah. Virginia has some very good D middies, but they've been exposed from up top. You know, you think about that Notre Dame game as well. Fiazon and Dobson, I think, kind of torched them.
Yeah.
The first Hopkins Virginia game, obviously, as I already mentioned and stuff. So, need Schellenberger to have a big game. Yeah, need Cormier to keep doing his thing that he did last week. if he can do that, I think we'll be okay.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you think we get the All-ACC Final Four?
And, I mean, I think it'll be close. That's for sure. Do you think we get it? I think we do.
I think we do. And I think this is exactly what the, exactly what they wanted. This is
exactly what the committee wanted. Take that, Michigan. Pretty boy lacrosse.
All right. I think kind of the biggest question marks, I mean, realistically, I could see either of the Sunday games going either way.
Yeah, and I could see Maryland beating Duke as well. I think Duke will win, and it's a little bit less so. I think the biggest one is, I think Syracuse will beat Denver. I think the Hopkins-Virginia game is the biggest question mark on that.
Yeah. But, I mean, it'll be an interesting storyline if we get the ACC tournament round 2 on Memorial Day.
Yeah.
But then again, I mean, could that be the worst thing for Notre Dame? Because they've already played a lot of these teams twice. You know, they've played Duke and Virginia twice. They've played Syracuse once, and it's hard to beat teams multiple times. And until Cornell, Syracuse was that game where everyone was like, Notre Dame could have lost that one. So, I don't know. I'm excited.
It's going to be great. I mean, they all should be good games.
Yeah, absolutely.
As much as we're not looking forward to some of them.
Yeah. But it should be to the level of what the Elite Eight should be. You know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, absolutely. Yeah, that wraps up our...
That's tournament talk.
Yeah, there it is.
I don't think we've talked about this yet, but the Toraton finalists came out.
Yep, the 5 finalists.
We got Brandow, Kavanagh, a Pat Variety, Brennan O'Neill, Connor Schellenberger, and then Liam Entenmann.
Yes, sir.
Does the goalie have a shot?
I mean, as we already know, the tournament play definitely holds a big factor into that. I think he does after the way he's played the last couple of weeks. If he keeps playing like that throughout the rest of the tournament, I think there's an outside shot.
If Liam Entenmann doesn't win it,
I don't think there's ever going to be a goalie that will win
I'm
it.
not sure what a goalie would have to do to win it. You know? Like, how much more does a goalie have to do than be the best damn player on his team that's been rated number 1? And, you know, like, I think this is Entenmann's year. I am pulling for it.
I'd love to see it. That would be awesome. Definitely don't want to see it back-to-back from O'Neill, not going to lie.
I don't think O'Neill has played well enough this year to be the Toraton.
Yeah, I agree. But I don't know, with
grassroots goalie movement.
We'll see.
Yeah.
One other thing we haven't talked about yet is, I mean, it's not huge news, obviously, but just the horde of Ivy League transfers that we see right now, kind of the last round of COVID guys with extra eligibility, but Carolina, Michigan, Rutgers, and Duke pick up transfers from Princeton, so that'll be good additions to their squads next year.
I think the biggest name out of that list is Michael John Vaccaro. I think him going to Carolina is going to be really interesting.
Yeah, we were talking about that this week. That's, he's sitting at 2-year starter with 56.5 save percentage. I think that's exactly what the Tar Heels need. They have to replace Colin Krieg, who started all 4 years and stuff and was a very solid goalie. So a very young North Carolina team this year, growing up a year, and now gets Vaccaro between the pipes, could lead to a really scary unit for next year.
Absolutely.
Petramala in his it'll be his second year as defensive coordinator, I believe. So kind of starting to get a first couple of guys that he recruited onto the team and stuff. So.
Yeah. We would be remiss if I didn't go down to D3 for a minute. St. John Fisher is on the run of a lifetime. Now that Cabrini is out of the D3 tournament, I am going full bore into the SJF bandwagon.
All right.
I had some friends that went to St. John Fisher when I played college lacrosse in upstate New York. So
nice.
I've got some connection, but they started the tournament off beating Wesleyan and then beat St. Lawrence last weekend. So let's keep it going. Empire 8, go knock out Tufts.
Couple big wins right there.
Yeah. But I would have been remiss to not mention the good old Monroe County represent.
Hell yeah. We'd love to hear it.
Right? But yeah, I think that's kind of all I had.
Yeah, that's about wraps up what I got. When's your first tournament?
We play in Nashville. We play June 15th and 16th.
Nice.
I think. And that one should be good. It's going to be weird, man. The fact that I am going to tournaments not run by Adrenaline and or Encore is very new to me. And it's going to be interesting because Adrenaline does a very good job at their tournaments and running them and making sure they're organized. And I have gotten accustomed to a certain standard.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. certain level of organization,
I'm
simple things.
Just hoping the Southeast can replicate. Because if not, I'm going to have to start taking my teams out west or something.
Hey, I hear you, man. I mean, there's a lot of tournaments in Texas. Advances starting one up
Nice.
in Texas. It's going to be like a fall-winter tournament in early November or something. Definitely an option to look at.
Yeah.
We're going to this Texas tournament 8th and 9th. I fly out there on the 7th. If you want to hop down to Dallas, come say hi.
D-Town Boogie.
Every time I've been there, something bad has happened, so
Then
we'll
maybe I don't want to come to Dallas.
Yeah, everyone might forget their jerseys.
God damn, Farley.
Oh, I had this, dude. This is kids. This is why you learn how to string a lacrosse stick. Because then when you're the freshman on the college team, your freshman duty is carrying the stringing box around. And that's really easy.
So for those unaware, that was my first year coaching.
It was me and Jeff's freshman year.
Yeah, we
Back
took
in 2018.
We took the Dominican University Penguins on a spring break trip.
No. This was opening week. This was our first. This was SMU TCU. This was the first weekend of
President's Day
the
weekend.
Season.
President's Day weekend.
First weekend of the season.
We took them to Dallas, and it was some good games. It was a lot of fun. We stayed at an Airbnb.
1-1. Who bought us an Xbox?
All right.
Crazy. That was sick.
That was sick. But as we're driving to the airport in our rental vehicles,
4:30 in the morning.
0 dark 100. I don't remember what time it was. I had a freshman speak up in the back. Coach Max, we just got a text asking if anyone had gotten the jersey bags. What? Yeah, Farley texted the freshman chat. He forgot to. Has anyone told Coach Sammy? No, I don't think anyone has told it. God damn it. So our head coach had to then go back to the Airbnb, if I'm not mistaken, miss his first flight home.
And the thing about that too is supposedly when it first got brought up, it was only like 10 or 15 minutes into the drive.
It wasn't far.
And it was like it was like a 45-minute drive to the airport from where we were. But Sammy doesn't find out until we're like essentially at the airport.
Yeah, because I'm driving.
So he has to drop us off, and then he turns around and goes back.
And it was raining cats and dogs.
Yeah.
It was stormy.
Yeah.
It was just
dumping.
And me and our OC had to get all of you hooligans home, figure out the bus. Definitely not the worst trip though.
And we did.
Everyone made it home alive.
I remember pulling into Conlin at like midnight of that day, and Casey's just standing up at the front of the bus and just being like, well, guys, hope you're happy. Sammy just got on his first flight out of Texas. And we were just like, fuck.
Yeah,
it was just quiet.
I remember how scared for your lives that freshman class was.
Holy shit. And then Sammy didn't do shit. He just held it over our heads all year. And it
not
was
even
the
all
biggest
year.
Psychological fuck of all time. I was so scared for practice on Monday.
I mean, we held that over y'all's head for like 3 years.
We still joke about it. Yeah, that was great.
That's definitely in my top 5 Mad Sammy moments.
1000%. Speaking of a relative of that team, Michael Manfredi's younger brother, Matt Manfredi, same class as me. He lives in the city now. And,
does he?
He came out to some pickup lacks we had the other night. I met him over the winter, he's advanced coach as well. Has gotten
cool.
linked up with advanced SF and stuff, which is awesome. And yeah, so he came out, played a little bit with us. It was very fun to play with him.
Are y'all trying to recruit him for SFLC?
Oh, 1000%. I think we can get that locked in more or less. But yeah, he's a good dude, and just watching it, you're like, yeah, those are brothers right there.
Yeah, he's a man, Freddie.
Yeah, 100%. If you couldn't tell by the hair or the face before he put the gear on, they look identical when they're playing, pretty much as well.
I mean, there's worse.
Same mannerisms, same everything.
There's worse guys that I could think to be equated to than Mike Manfredi. That's for sure.
You can say that again. Go check out Mansion Music.
Yeah, buddy. He's got an epic song about why his Taco Bell order is $22. I think it may be my favorite.
He had a good little remix he posted out, I think this morning or whatever, that I enjoyed a lot as well. Yeah.
I don't know how you didn't mention it, but we mentioned Peyton Cormier breaking the all-time scoring record.
Thank you. Yeah.
So
absolutely.
Why don't you're the bigger fan, so I'm gonna let you take this off. I just wanted to make sure.
Clearly I'm not. You're the one bringing it up. I totally forgot.
I was scrolling through the Maxed Out Lax Instagram and it popped up.
Good. Glad it did. Yeah, Izzy Skane broke the all-time women's record, set just a few years ago by who many consider the greatest women's player on the planet right now, Charlotte North. Awesome to see, broken on it's the same day or a day apart, which is pretty cool. But yeah, Izzy Skane is 357, obviously and counting now. She scored a few more in that game. But yeah, that's a lot of goals. 357, like she could hit 370, 375. That's crazy. That's fucking awesome.
Yeah, and I think the funniest part to me is how many more goals in women's lacrosse it takes. Because Cormier is at what?
He's at 222 now.
222. And Izzy Skane, to break the record, had to score 359 goals.
Crazy.
That's just an insane number.
Yeah.
Other shout-outs to give. Joey Spallina, after his 8 points last weekend, became the highest-scoring sophomore since
there we go.
One Gary Gate at Syracuse.
Who dat?
But the funniest part that people hear that and they're like, "Oh, that was cool, whatever." That means he scored more points in his sophomore year than Casey Ryan and Mikey Powell.
I mean, yeah.
And, Mikey Powell, first team All-American all 4 years. Joey Spallina, not even an All-American. Or no, did he get third team?
I think he was an All-American, yeah.
He just didn't get All-ACC. Riddle me that one, Batman.
Couldn't tell you. Pretty boy lacrosse.
Oh. I just saw a clip of a defender straight up standing there and eating a step down in the cup and not even flinching.
Wait, is it the one that he caught between his legs and then turns around and flicks it to the goalie?
No, he kicks it to his SSDM who's right in front of him that way.
Are they in all black?
Yeah.
That was awesome. He's just sweet. It looks so on purpose too.
Yeah, he's just no, this is fine. I'm good. I'm like, I've done that.
Yeah, it's good.
We've been talking about it a lot, but did we ever go over the All-American list?
I don't think so. I can't remember what we talked about last week.
Well, I don't think it came out last week.
Did it come out over the weekend?
I think it came out in the first weekend of...
Yeah, last weekend.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. First team All-American attack. Brennan O'Neill from Duke, Matt Brandow from Yale, CJ Kurse from Cornell. I agree with Brandow. I don't like O'Neill was again like he was fine all year, but it just feels like it's a letdown. And Kurse, I thought, kind of tailed off.
I mean,
I think he was their whole team. He didn't make the tournament.
My biggest issue with CJ Kurst getting it, I don't think he was as impactful all season as some of the others. He started slow in my book.
Yeah.
He did pick it up at the end, but for a long time, Michael Long was the best attackman on that team.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
Realistically, there's probably 18 to 20 names for 9 spots.
More or less.
So it's hard. All-American lists are always one of those things that are ridiculously difficult, especially at the attack position, because 4 of these guys are Touraton finals list, and you got somehow 2 of them on the first team and 2 of them on the second team. The only difference, of course, being one CJ Kurst. But this is the media All-American list. There's like 9 All-American lists now.
Yeah.
But, I think if it was me, I would have put probably Schellenberger on that list.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't get a vote, so...
Moving on to the middies, we have Evan Plunkett from Army.
Whoop, whoop.
Mikey Weishar, I believe, from Towson, and Shane Melbach from Rutgers. I think this is kind of sick. I think it's fairly accurate, but it's pretty cool to see these 3 teams getting a first-team All-American guy.
Yeah. I think they used this to get a little bit more representation, for a lack of a better word. I definitely think all 3 of them deserve it. It would have been very easy for them to, Dobson, Bundy, and somebody else, and go with the big name teams. But guys like Knobloch and Plunkett, I watched a lot, and were, definitely 2 of the best midfielders of the year. So I'm stoked they get it. I didn't watch a lot of Towson lacrosse, but watching... I'm not going to be able to pronounce that right now. Watching the Towson first-team All-American midfielder with a really confusing last name for my brain against Syracuse last weekend, he was a solid midfielder. I don't see why not letting him be a first-teamer.
Yeah, I like it. Face-off, Will Coletti. And the Army getting another guy onto the first team, on the first team All-American. One of 2 teams who are represented twice. I think I'm right on that. Yep.
What up, Army?
Short stick D middies, Bo Pedersen from Michigan and Ben Ramsey from Notre Dame. I think that's very accurate.
Yeah.
Those guys are locked down.
They are by far the best 2 defensive midfielders. Yeah.
Jake Pisano from Albany gets the LSM nod, and again, I think that was pretty spot on.
I mean, if I'm not mistaken, Pisano may have been the only unanimous decision.
That would make sense. I'm not sure.
It didn't make sense to me. There's one other name I thought should have been a unanimous decision.
Fair enough.
But he absolutely deserves to be the first team
Yeah.
LSM.
Yes. Defense, you got Ajax Zapatella from Maryland, Scott Smith from Hopkins, and Brennan Lavelle from Penn. I think another pretty good job here. I think obviously Ajax was the number one guy. And the other two, yeah, I think that's accurate.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't know a ton of defenders, unfortunately. Sorry.
Was Sean Light on that list? Or did he get second?
He's the third team.
He's third team. I thought he should be higher, but Brennan Lavelle is honestly, from what I have heard, the only guy who, quote-unquote, completely shut down Brennan O'Neill, and I would disagree with that. I think Sean Light for Notre Dame did that as well.
Well, there's your argument.
Yeah. The only goal I saw Brennan O'Neill score against Sean Light was the open goal he scored after Entenmann broke his stick.
Fair enough.
But, yeah. And then Entenmann got first team, and he was the other one I was saying.
Assuming Carroll got a vote then?
I would assume so, and I'm sorry, Emmett Carroll, I love you. You are a fantastic goaltender. You are not Liam Entenmann.
Nope. Not at all. Second team at attack, we have Connor Schellenberger from Virginia, Pat Cavanaugh from Notre Dame, and TJ Malone from Penn State. Obviously, we talked about this already. I think a couple of those guys... all three of those guys are deserving of first team.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
There's just not enough spots.
That's the way it goes. Midfielders, you got Jake Stevens from Syracuse, Andrew McAdory from Duke, and Devin McClain from Notre Dame. I like this. I'm a little bit surprised McClain got the nod over Eric Dobson. But
yes and no. I mean, if you look at all around kind of contribution to the team, I like the McClain over Dobson.
Yeah.
I think Dobson is more of the scorer of the bunch. Like, he is the lefty version of McClain for that midfield unit. And I honestly, I just think that McClain did this much more. Which is funny because neither of them were drawing the poll for most of the year because of Jordan Fajon's absurd athleticism.
Yeah, when you're the best wide receiver on Notre Dame, you're probably the most athletic midfielder on Notre Dame.
Yeah.
No offense. Face off, second team, Justin Winfield out of Michigan. I think he was solid all year. How do you feel about that? Beat out Stathakis. You have Nathan Laliberte from Bryant, Mason Cohn, Will Lynch, Luke Weirman, Machado Rodriguez, Brady Wambach, and Jake Naso finishing out the other ones. But I don't think it's wrong, per se.
No,
Sorry.
Again, I think it becomes, holy shit, how do we split these hairs 9 different ways to figure out who deserves it most? Because, legit, I think you could make a case for any and all of those guys to be first, second or third team.
Watch yourself. Careful, dude.
I'm a big Will Coletti guy. But
you should be.
It's also, it's one of those things that even Will Coletti, you could kind of look at it and and say it. I don't think the way I try to differentiate these guys is how their team would have performed should they have been removed. If that makes sense. I think Wheatfeld may have been the right option.
Yeah. I think the next closest would be the guy who got third team in Alex Stathakis with Denver. I think it was probably pretty close in the voting between those two.
This is a very large discrepancy because the two I'm going to name, one is probably me being a fanboy, and one will probably be a pretty big surprise to most people. But Mason Cone.
Yep.
And then Will Lynch. Because
yeah,
I think starting at the tournament last year, Will Lynch has made such a huge difference to what Notre Dame does now. Right? When Notre Dame's talked about, Will Lynch doesn't get mentioned very often. And honestly, I think he could have been as high as second team All-American.
Yeah.
Simply because Notre Dame doesn't do what Notre Dame does if Will Lynch hasn't improved as much as Will Lynch has improved. But again, just one dude's opinion.
I think you could almost make that argument about Luke Weirman too. I think he was really important for a Maryland team who didn't know.
Maryland gets nothing from me, and they like it.
And I think they're just fine with that. But I think he was huge to their win last week over Princeton.
I do agree. I do agree. He was huge last week. I don't think he's got the season-wide resume that a lot of these other guys do.
Yep. Corsic Dimides. Oh, go ahead. Keep going.
Oh, I was just going to say, this is not to say that Wheatfeld did not deserve it at all. He absolutely did.
Yeah. Grant Haas and Chase Yeager. Grant Haas from Penn State, Chase Yeager from Virginia, locking in that second team defensive midi positions. And yeah, I can't speak too much to the depths of the short stick D midi position.
Shout out Grant Haas. He coaches a lot of my guys in summer ball.
Oh, let's go.
That played in Central PA. They play for his dad, John Haas, with a team called the Lebanon Valley Lightning. So
nice.
He played for that team, grew up in that program. So hats off, even though John Haas didn't want to hire me. His loss, not mine. The best thing I can say about D-Mids, if I don't notice you, you're probably doing a really good job at your job. So the fact that I can't think of a time where any of these D-Mids have crossed my path in a, man, you needed to make that play. It's a good thing.
Yeah.
I think it was Nick Acello on the tailgate who said that we won't say the name of short stick D-Mids because they don't deserve it yet.
I like that. Second team LSM, Steven Zupatich from Villanova. I think that's a pretty good pick for the second team there. How do you feel about that?
I'm okay with it. I'm surprised by a name that isn't on one of the teams, and that's Roy Meyer.
He's honorable mention.
Yeah, that doesn't count as a real team. That's, hey, look at all these other players that we're going to list as being really good.
Yeah.
But he was a first-team All-American last year. And he played just as well this year.
Yeah.
So, no disrespect to Zupatich. He absolutely was also a man amongst boys for Villanova. I just think quality of competition played and impact on game, I would have put Meyer higher.
Yeah.
I'm a poet and I didn't even know it.
Uh-oh. Yeah, I think that's a really solid argument. I think again, it's tough.
Yeah. I mean, you're splitting hairs upon hairs upon hairs when you're doing these types of things. So
Yeah.
I'm not gonna say anything is absolutely wrong except for a few things. Um, but we'll get to that.
Moving on to the close D for the second team All-American, you got Kenny Brower out of Duke, Cole Kastner out of Virginia, and Billy Dwan from Syracuse.
Yeah, I mean that's a super solid defensive line right there. I wouldn't want to play attack against those three.
No, not at all. I have no desire to do that. That sounds awful.
That sounds terrible. Oh, and add in shooting on Emmett Carroll for it.
Yeah, good luck. That is our goalie for the second team All-American. Moving down to third team, we got Joey Spallina from Syracuse, Sam King from Harvard, and Chris Kavanaugh from Notre Dame at attack. Very, very good attack line, obviously. But again, it's tough. A lot of guys left off now. You have Peyton Cormier on the outside looking in. You got Mikey Boehm looking in, Coulter Mackesy, Nick DeMaio, Garrett Degnan. Absurd talent in the attack position in college lacrosse right now.
It's dumb. Just absolutely dumb.
Like, you have the all-time leading goal scorer in NCAA men's lacrosse is an honorable mention.
So, this may be crazy, but just in terms of team composition, which All-American team do you take to win?
I mean, maybe the second team.
See, and here I am being like, I may take that third team.
Sure.
I get an extra.
You're not wrong.
I get an extra D pole. Thanks, IL.
That's wild.
But like, I am perfectly happy with Spallina, King, and Chris Kavanaugh as my attack line.
Yeah, I mean, and your defense between Colby Bars, drafted, signed, Sean Light, you argued to be way higher. AJ Palat, who is
a first-team All-American
good.
last year.
And Mason Woodward, who was drafted in the first round.
Yeah.
and then you have Jack Fraction in cage.
Yeah, it's the only thing I'd like to change, to be quite honest. But like, that third-team midfield line may be the most imposing.
Offensively, I mean, that is Griffin Schultz and Eric Dobson on the same midfield line would be crazy.
With Vidaro, like...
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I made... Like, yeah, that first team has names everyone's heard of. But, like... I think that third team may be spunkier and more fun.
Well, and even that for Brendan O'Neill and CJ Kearse playing together on the left side, it just doesn't seem like it seems like they both want to try and do the same thing.
Yeah.
Although I guess Kearse comes from behind a little bit more, whereas O'Neill's like on the wing. But it just seems funky.
Yeah. Shocks on the All-American list. We've already mentioned Mr. Cormier.
Yep.
I know they can only give one Army midfielder a spot, but I thought Jake Morin had a really, really good year for Army. Yeah,
I mean, you're absolutely right. You watch way more Army lacrosse than I was able to. I think we've talked about some of the face-off ones. Mason Cohn was a pretty big surprise, we feel like.
Yeah.
Will Lynch.
Weirman.
Even Jake Nasow almost.
Yeah.
Weirman.
I mean, the funniest one, we didn't really mention it, but Rodriguez and La Liberte, I think they were up there on the face-off percentage list nationally.
Were they? Yeah.
Machado Rodriguez got hurt for quite a bit, so that's probably why he fell off. The other biggest name to me is Will Mark.
Yep.
This is a guy we were talking about, could he push Entenmann for first team? And then he gets honorable mention? Just doesn't seem right to me.
Yeah. I think Levi Birch had a really good year, defenseman, and Marcus Hudgens is a great cover guy out of Ohio State.
Yeah.
And then obviously we already mentioned Rob Meyer, from Boston U.
Yeah. But honestly, I think those are kind of the only guys. Shout out to everyone who got their name on any of these lists, because
you're balling.
You're balling. It ain't easy.
Not at all.
They don't just hand these lists out or these accolades out to anybody on any list, So, big ups. Shout out Iman. Always big ups.
Big up, boys. Yeah.
But now I think we can finally say that
I think that about wraps it up.
2-hour podcast, man.
Not bad.
I dig it.
We might be back in another 2 hours.
Yeah, we may just go take a quick break. I haven't eaten yet today because I woke up at 2.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah. But yeah, any final words? Any last thoughts?
No, I got nothing. SISHP tonight for the finals. For their
really?
League. Yeah, that'll be a good game.
Did that get rained out? Because I didn't think.
No, they're just late.
They're just late.
Late.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Their league playoffs started like a week or two later than everyone else's.
Yeah. Leave it to the Catholic schools.
Hell yeah.
Public school for life. I say, having gone and then went to a private, small Catholic Dominican college.
Crazy.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite things to bring up.
Yeah.
Is being a public school kid. Like, no, you can't be mad at me. I was raised in public school education systems.
Not my fault.
Not my fault. You guys left me behind.
Literally.
But yeah.
All right.
So for those of you still around, come hang out, watch some NLL finals this evening / afternoon, 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific.
4 p.m.
4 p.m.
4 p.m.
As you can tell, we're real good at talking today. Words are
Me
hard.
good.
Shout out Caitlin and Evan on Twitch and YouTube. They do cool stuff. They've got a t-shirt that says words are hard. I appreciate it.
They are.
But yeah, follow the Discord, follow the Instagram, look us up on YouTube. Come join us in the Discord for a watch along tonight. If we have fun, maybe we'll do it more often and more this weekend. And yeah, follow me, Coach Max Kaler on Instagram.
And Pierce 12, I'll have another one at some point.
Eventually, he'll make his coaching one.
We'll see.
Or it will just become his coaching one.
Yeah, that might be what happens.
But yeah, until next week, y'all, lax on and stay positive.
Peace out, peeps.